welcome to Flash Club. And tonight, Bill has brought the story to us tonight. And Bill, why don't you tell us about the story and the author?
Okay. Well, welcome to Flash Club every Thursday night. You want me to give the intro?
Yeah, do it. Go
Every
for it.
Thursday night, we get together and we find a mentor piece, a piece of Flash that we discuss from a craft angle. This is not a critique. We look for craft tools that this author used, and we then try to steal them and spend 20 to 30 minutes using that piece of that craft lever to try to make something of our own. And of course, during that writing part, you don't have to follow any of the rules. You can write whatever you want. So tonight, Katharine Tyndall was kind enough to allow us to read her piece, No Time Like the Present, which appeared in Wigleaf. But before I go into that, I just want to mention real quick to give a little background on Kate, as she refers to herself in her emails, is a Berlin-based writer of speculative fiction. You can find her at Tyndall.earth, which I didn't even know a .earth existed, but that's pretty rad in itself. And it's got links to all of her stories she's published. She's got out there quite a few, some notables. She's been published in Wigleaf, which I've been like trying the past year to get into. She's in McSweeney's. There's a really fun piece if you're on Substack and you're seeing all the AI stuff. She's got this great little story in McSweeney's called Being a Luddite is Cool and All, but have you seen the hilarious tapestries these new looms are making?
Mhm.
And it's a great like little AI satire. And Nina, you read The Office Siren. That was in Hex Literary.
That was so good. Yes.
It was very good. And one last piece of hers I want to plug is Tangles in the Weave. It's a bit longer than her Flash. It's probably a 20-minute read or so, maybe 2 to 3,000 words. And you can find that on her links from Tyndall.earth. But that piece is softer, but I think it carries like everything I read of hers this past week, very witchy, but all in the good kind of way. So if you're wanting to read something a little witchy, Tyndall.earth. But tonight we're going to read No Time Like the Present. That was published in Wigleaf, and I think it just was this spring. Yeah, 2026 is when Wigleaf picked that up at 990 words. So what do you think, Nina? How do you want to break this up? Do you want to just like alternate at the
Yeah.
ampersands? You want to just go that way?
Well, there's three sections, right?
Okay. Who,
Hi, Stefan. Welcome.
hello. Hi.
We're just getting started. Stefan, this is Judy and Bill.
Hi.
Um,
Judy.
so
Hi, Bill.
Bill just gave us a little promo on the piece. You have the piece pulled up?
I do. I
You
just read
do?
it while I was late.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna read it again together.
Good.
Or do you feel like, Mom, do you feel like reading? Yes or no? Will you participate? No. Okay. Stefan, would you take a paragraph or two just to break it up? Okay. All right, Bill, tell us what you want.
Um, yeah, Stefan, why don't you just kick it off for us then? And Nina, you want to do after the second ampersand or the second pound sign, and I'll finish it off.
Okay.
Finish off the
Gotcha.
third section.
Perfect. Will do. Awesome.
No Time Like the Present by Katharine Tyndall. To mask one's thoughts with placidity, it can be helpful to repeat a motto. Julius had chosen the chipper and meaningless no time like the present. They repeated it in a constant mental chorus thousands of times a day. Whenever they caught a glimpse of movement at the corner of their eye, when their head ached or muscles twitched in their poorly controlled body. Worst of all, at night when they lay in bed listening to the sounds of chewing like a caterpillar munching slowly on leaves, but inside. No time like the present.
The slithig hunted in thoughts. It would graze peacefully upon the brain as long as its host feigned ignorance to its presence. Once the monster knew it had been detected, it would kill its victim, so they couldn't kill it first. To acknowledge it meant death. Hence the feigned calm that Julius now struggled to maintain. Julius had picked up the parasite on the train to work. They'd been sitting next to a jumpy man who was rocking back and forth in his seat when they'd felt something buzzing near their face. Then came a scritching sound in their ear canal, but they found no insect. When they awoke the next morning to a headache and the sound of chewing, it was only too obvious. That had been a week ago. Now the days were a terror-painted normalcy. Over a week now, no time like the present. Has to be soon. No time like the present. No time like the present. A few dozen repetitions to calm the body to stop their eyes from twitching. With no ability to think about a cure, they were trapped in this nightmare. How to plan to kill a parasite that could read their plans. How to suppress fear and panic when the creature would kill them for fearing it. In desperation, they tried walking into a hospital, shouting their motto into their thoughts, but the slithig stirred in their brain and nearly caused them to faint. Can't faint. No time like the present. No doctor. No need for the doctor. All fine, all good. No time like the present. Feeling so good, feeling fine. No time like the present.
The refrain Julius wore as camouflage had lost its power after a week of constant repetition. There was little time left, and no time like the present. Some part of their brain, which thought not in words or images, but in hard resolve, decided to do something. Julius began pacing their apartment, searching for nothing in particular. Chopsticks, power drill, Q-tip, pencil, house keys, tweezer, hammer. For fuck's sake, no time like the present. Items leapt into their hand unbidden and uncategorized until they were looking at an array of everything they owned that was sharp and pinching, trying desperately to see them as random objects. In one of their eyes, a small tendril had been waggling all morning, which they had been desperate to ignore, knowing that to see it, to acknowledge it, would lead to the slithig to clamp down on their brainstem and kill them, and knowing, too, that the loose end hanging from their eye socket was the best chance at removing the monster. Keeping up their internal refrain as best as they could, they sat down at the bathroom mirror. No time like the present. Present, no time like the present. Looking straight into their own pupils, imagining tweezing their eyebrows, a completely innocuous activity. So bushy, those brows. Time to tweeze, time to squeeze. A shaking hand raising tweezers to their eyebrow, eyes open so wide that tears were leaking, and in the corner of one eye, a little black tendril, thick as a horsehair and waggling placidly. They could feel the slithig in their stabbing headache that no longer abated. They could hear the creature in their left inner ear, chewing the lewd little gnash. No time like the chewing, no chewing like the present, presently, no time chewing, no time like no time. Julius waited until they were calm, until they could feel the creature munching contentedly. They would have only seconds to extract it. No time like the present, no present. The tweezers held poised over the corner of their eyebrow above the waggling tendril. When they had not blinked for so long, their eyes were brimming with tears, and the fear threatened to bubble over into vomiting. Julius could wait no longer. Now. They gouged the tiny points into the wet corner of their eye socket after the slithig. The pinchers closed around that thick tail which struggled against the tool with surprising strength for a thing so small. Julius wrapped both hands tight around the tweezers and pulled with all their might. There was a stab of numb agony deep in their head, but they pulled and kept pulling as the shaggy horsehair tendril emerged inch by inch from their eye socket, as the blood began to leak from where the slithig was extracted, as a small hairy thorax emerged, fat as a dog tick from under their eye, gray matter still clinging to its two wicked mandibles, as the rest of the tendrils followed in a wet knot that slid out of their eye socket, slick with blood. Julius flung the slithig onto the bathroom tile and went at it with the hammer as it flailed, propelling itself on long, bloody tendrils across the floor. Tiles shattered from a few failed swings, but at last they struck true. In a single wet splat, the slithig burst, leaving a puddle of gray snot on the floor and the hammer. And Julius's torment was over. They leaned back on the cold bathroom wall, eye bloody, head pounding. Inside their skull was silence. Alone in their thoughts, Julius drew breath and let out the scream they'd been holding all week.
The story just
Mm,
cracked me up. Like the first two
mm,
times I read it, I was like, this thing is killing me. Um,
yeah, right on. Thank you,
all right.
Kate Tyndall.
Yeah, seriously. All right, Bill. Where
Well,
where do you want to start?
where do we start? I mean, I can start unless somebody just has something they want to say about it straight off the bat. Any first impressions, or second if you've already read it?
Well, there's no time like the present for us to begin.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, there were a couple of lines that I just like lost myself over. Um, chewing the lewd little Nash. I
yeah,
thought that was a line.
that's
Um,
a good one.
yeah.
I what drew me to this piece for club. I mean, first of all, I really liked it. And second of all, it's in a marketplace that I'm really hoping to get into. So I'm attracted there. But I love this idea of the form following a constraint. Like early on, we know the rules, they're laid out, there's no guessing. We know that the narrator can't think about the thing. And so, how does the author cheat those rules to let us know about the thing the narrator can't know about? So, I thought that was very like an interesting constraint to start with. And then how she used this repetition as style, but also as a plot device, this mantra.
Hmm.
I really like that's when I read it the first time, I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to ask her for club because this repetition of no time like the present starts off so innocuous. It's just like to mask one's thoughts with placidity. It can be helpful to repeat a motto, no time like the present. And it just, you know, that that breaks down throughout the piece as the tension escalates. So, there's this style part of it, but it's also a plot device. I thought that was really interesting because at some point, no time like the present, the meaning of that sort of breaks down.
When
The,
I first read it, I was totally in like a 1984 kind of mindset. I thought this was going to be like a systems story. I don't know if anybody else had that feeling, but I was like, oh, okay, repeat a motto, like like Big Brother,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
having to repeat this thing. And so it was like, so it took a turn when I got to the caterpillar. I was like, oh, okay, this is not this.
yeah.
This is maybe not a systems story. So that was fun. That there were a number of turns in there that were fun as well.
Did you identify? Did anybody like speaking of turns, the big turn, the hinge?
So I think there were multiple.
Okay.
I don't know. Like when we discovered that it is a caterpillar in her head. I feel like that was kind of a turn. That was a big reveal because that revealed like all of the tension that had built up to that around the repetition of the motto. So that was a reveal there. I don't know if it wasn't a turn necessarily, but it was a turn. That was a turn.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
then
because it makes it very physical at that point.
right. Um, and then she goes to the hospital. That's not quite the turn, but when she pulls the chopsticks and the power tools, that was what I would consider was the tool because where there's actual agency and you realize there ain't no turning back. But
that word agency is what from previous clubs with you that now I use that in my head when I'm trying to identify the hinge, like where does agency change? And it's for me, it was in that the paragraph prior to the chopsticks, first paragraph into the third part here, and it's the second sentence. There was little time left, comma, and no time like the present. But that right there at that no time like the present in that line, it's not used so much as a mantra. It's just, and then some part of the brain which thought not in words or images, but in hard resolve, decided to do something.
Hmm.
That's for me where the narrator takes agency. The hospital, they were looking for something external to
Hmm.
diffuse this, and at that point, they take it on themselves. So that's where I identified the hinge.
All right, Stefan, do you want to break that? Do you want to break the battle, the death match that we're having here, Bill and I?
No, I don't have any disagreements with either interpretation. I think I was I would feel that that is where the turn and the change happens between for Julius to take that power. I think what impressed me more was how this world or this situation is just there, and there really isn't any explanation. Like the whole second section is understanding of what the Slithig is, and Julius just knows this, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it's like a third person omniscient narrator. It feels like we're still within Julius' head, and yet Julius somehow knows this stuff about Slithigs. Like this is common knowledge within the world that Julius lives in, and so you have learned that if this is happening to you, good luck. Try not to think about it. And so that was what I think stuck out to me about this story is how much is done but is not said on the page, and I'm impressed by that to start with. And yes, I'm a little creeped out with the visceral imagery at the end, but I like it too. I like that tangibility of being able to imagine, like from Julia's perspective, of what it looks like to see this thing coming out of your eye and then pop, and then it lands on the floor, and now you got to chase this skittering thing around that's leaving this trail of blood and goo behind, and
Yeah.
yeah, somehow attack it.
Is it gray? Is it gray snot because it's brain matter? You guys,
Yeah.
you guys know what brains look like, right? They're gray, aren't
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
they?
So the horsehair description really like stuck with me too. I can just
Mm-hmm.
feel that coming out. I think what the piece does well that you're speaking to, Stefan, is what a lot of really good Flash has to do is world build through like a negative space.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, of course she knows what it is. Everybody knows what a slithig is. You get them on the subway when you sit
Yeah,
next to the wrong person.
yeah. You're too
Yeah.
close to somebody who's infected, and
Yeah. Yeah.
good luck.
I mean, but
But you don't need to say that, right? In a lot of
right.
other fantasy stories, there's a very direct. Somebody says, "What's wrong with me?" And the doctor says, "You have a slithig." And oh, I go to read Wikipedia now. I find out what the slithig is, and we don't need that. So I like that. I like that very much.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost
Um,
like a pan in a satire where like the author never winks.
right.
Like they never, right, they never give up that this isn't what the world is. Yeah.
Um, how do you feel about the ending? That's something that I wanted to talk about because something I'm like obsessed with Flash, this idea that Leah uses of endings um, reverberating or resolving.
And so the flash is, I think, the scream. So we've got the ending, but that final image of the scream where it's like the climax of the story has passed, right? Because the Slithig is dead. And there's Grace not on the floor. and then what's next? I think it's the only thing. It's the only thing that could happen in that moment. Isn't that the inevitability?
Yeah, it's a release.
The
The
release.
tension the tension that's been building, that's finally gets released.
Well,
Yeah.
and then that release is because Julius had been holding in the scream all week. Because if you allow the scream to come out, that's indication that you're affected and you're going to do that. It's also completely opposite to the idea that there's no time like the present, because there it absolutely is a time not like the present. If you admit in the present that you know what's going on, you ruin the game, you spoil the game. So you Julius has to hold on to this knowledge and go against that own model for a whole week so that you can try to avoid the inevitability.
I didn't see that. It's very,
Mm,
yeah.
I
You
like
didn't
that.
see it, so I just
I
started
like
saying the
that.
sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, that's great. And there's also the scream is also like we can almost catch our breath there because these long ass sentences. Like I don't know what that was the experience was like reading it, Bill, but it was kind of like like you wanted to take a deep breath at the end, I'm
Uh,
guessing.
you read my mind. You read my mind, Nina, because of that. As we end up our discussion of the piece and the craft of the piece, I want to talk about sentence length and structure.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, there at the end when I was reading, yeah, I wanted to take a breath. But it also becomes fragmented, like the
Hmm.
the repetition, the mantra becomes fragmented, and the very end, it's this list of like punctuation goes away, and almost, there's yeah, this very good, almost delirious, manic sentence that
But I think
pushes the
that's
climax.
that's a
Sorry.
very good use of language and use of sentence construction to mimic the feeling that Julius is having or anybody would be having in that situation. It's like I'm the pressure is building up and building up and building up in us as the reader because we haven't gotten to the end of that sentence. And we're
Yeah.
like, no, we got and then it's like that release, as you had just said. I've done that and I've seen that in other language too, where you increase the tension of a specific moment by keeping the sentence length long, because it forces the reader. It might still be grammatically correct, and other people might come in and say, oh, you can cut this sentence, it's more understandable. Yes, but it's also less tense in that very specific moment. And then if you go the other way, if you want things to be really powerful and quick and like almost staccato, you have very short sentences and you break things up and you do that. You can, there's ways that you can represent physicality with the language so that if somebody's reading it either aloud or internally, they almost have the same experience that you want them to understand about the character doing at the same time. It's a very parallel experience.
Hmm.
Cadence. Yeah, the
I never quite get
cadence.
this right. This is like a kind of an exercise in hyper and hypotaxis? Is that the word? Somebody help me out with that.
I,
Heard those
I'm gonna
before.
have, I'm gonna have to Google those.
Okay. All right. That's I'm just
What do
thinking.
you think they are, Nina?
Well, it's like it's both. It's both. The author seems to be using both kind of in conversation with one another. And it is that like can't catch your breath and the listing, and then those long sentences, and then the listing. It's like the short, easily consumed pieces followed by um, the longer sentences. There's something I don't know. I always get them confused, dyslexic. So sorry. One is one, one's the other, just like left and right. That's right.
Yeah,
But not in the mirror.
no, don't do it in the mirror.
Yeah. Um, so
I think anything else from structured? Nina, you got something else there?
well, I mean, so let's identify it as horror, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm calling it horror, just in terms of like parts of parts of speech. It reminded me of the scene in Affliction, Russell Banks' Affliction, where he's pulling out his tooth. You know, the way it builds to that crescendo.
Yeah. Is there a, you'll have to help me because I'm really bad at the labels. Is there like a sub label body horror or something? I feel
Body,
like this
yes.
reminds me a lot of Ming Chang. Like there's a lot of body focused stuff in her work as well.
Right. The blood, the snot. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely body horror.
Right. It wouldn't be like atmospheric horror or psychological horror. This is definitely
This is not gothic.
right. I don't even know if it got
Sorry, Leah.
Sorry, Leah. Exactly. Um, okay. And I mean, and I think everybody, this is like one of those kind of, I think we can all feel this. We've all had like the bug in the ear. We've all had the, the experience, like the mosquito in the ear. Anybody else had a mosquito in the ear? Black fly? Just me?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's particularly terrifying. And I feel like they've done a great job. She's done a great job. I mean, repetition. We should talk about repetition and like it wasn't just the no time like the present. Like if we look just as in those sentences, the as sentences, she's got I at the end of a line three times. She's made some a lot of intentional choices, like word language choices. Um,
so
that
in that sense, it's almost poetic, like
yeah,
in that you're sculpting and crafting how it looks to the reader on the page.
right. She's done a lot of work with that. Um, I'm just thinking there were some moments because it was kind of like the mantra is meant to interrupt the feeling, but it also works to compound it. So it's meant to interrupt the chewing, the monster, but it
Right.
also it's a source of escalation. Did we
Well, yeah.
we say
I
that
mean,
already?
I think Stefan pointed out like the actual meaning is it's now. It's within no time like the present is now. I got to pull this thing out now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, there's a lot of doubling of words. Waggling is a word. Like she uses waggle, 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 waggle. I just kept noticing that. I was like, oh, in mine, I'm such a rule follower. I would be like, oh, I already used that word. I need a different word. And here, she's like intentionally like going back and repeating that, um, repeating those words and those word chunks. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. There's a lot of
That makes a lot of sense because in one of my interview questions, I asked her about her voice, and she, in a very kind of kind, self-deprecating way, said that she tends to be overly lyrical at times in her writing, which I don't find in this piece at all. But it would make sense that somebody who describes their process that way would take such care in using syntax this way.
yeah. Well, it's almost like recursive. Like she doubles back to it.
Yeah.
Like, um, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we doing now?
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's find
Mom, anything
my
you want to add?
prompt here.
No. Okay.
Okay. So no time like the present. So for our writing prompt, I'm just going to kind of frame things here. This piece for me, it's tightened and fractured at the sentence level during the climax. Sentence leak, then punctuation, kind of mirroring the character's internal state. So for our writing prompt, we're going to try to mimic that. Not worry so much about plot in our prompt, but just sentence length and building tension. So to frame it, we're going to have a character who's in a moment of rising pressure. We're going to try to control the story through sentence length and punctuation, cadence. Um, as I was writing this prompt earlier, um, I didn't have Stefan's insight onto staccato short sentences. I was kind of viewing the beginning of these long sentences as sort of a control, long sentences, normal kind of grammatical sentences, normal punctuation being control, holding it together. The shorter sentences, pressure, building urgency, and then fragments where things are breaking down. So if you'd like to use that as a kind of a blueprint for a writing exercise, that's great. But I think the point is just to try to focus on sentence length and what that does with tension in the piece. So step one, let's pick a situation. I've given, I don't know, Nina, if they're in the chat or not, but I have 4 situations so you don't get hung up on picking a situation.
Okay.
You can pick one of these. You can make up one of your own. Waiting for a call that matters, driving somewhere you shouldn't go, cleaning something you don't want to look at, sitting in a room with someone you're avoiding.
Uh, uh,
So you can pick one of those. You can make up one of your own, but the idea is that we want to put your character in a moment of rising pressure.
Wait, what were the other two? I'm a really slow typer.
No problem. So waiting for a call that matters, driving somewhere you shouldn't go, cleaning something you don't want to look at, sitting in a room with someone you're avoiding.
Okay. How long?
Well, we're going to write. You guys can pick one of those and we're going to write. I'm just going to do a little pop in. We don't need to share at 10 minutes and another at 10 minutes. And then maybe near the end, about 5 minutes, just so my idea for this was you would start off controlled, the middle part move to a little more disruption, maybe change your sentence length at that. And then near the end, vary your sentence length and punctuation to show some kind of breakdown. So I'll just pop in at say 10 minutes for the first start and middle, and give you about 5 or so minutes depending on how time looks near the end. I'll let you know to maybe start making changes in how you're building the tension.
Okay. All right.
Does that
So,
sound fun? We'll be back at keep writing, friends. I'm just letting you know that's been almost 10 minutes. So if you wanted to start leaning into a little more pressure and tension, changing your sentence lengths now, I'm going to give you 6 minutes to do that for this middle part. Okay, gang, you're going to get writing. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes to let the wheels really come off the bus here for your characters. Let them break down. Sentence fragments, breathy sentences, really push the tension, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, everybody. Everybody's pens and keyboards are smoking. I've been writing so hard and fast, but come back.
I'm
Come
cramping.
back. Come
Cramping.
back. Come back. How was it?
That was kind of fun. I really enjoy my first paragraph.
Good.
I'm losing the tone because I'm not exactly sure what the hell I'm writing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I'm like switching tones. I'm like, who is this? I don't know, but I haven't landed on that yet, but it's fun.
good. When I pictured this in my head, it wasn't so much about like coming away with a piece that you could like work on and become something, but just an idea of like writing, using the tool and seeing how that builds tension, just like an exercise. It wasn't really.
Mhm.
How about you, Stefan? How was it?
it was good. I did appreciate the guidance of like kind of starting wide, big sort of normal, and, and then being intentional about making more deliberate choices and then really focusing in. And when I got to basically your last, every time you came in and said, "Here's about a time, think about doing that." In my mind, I had written a couple paragraphs, and I was like, "Okay, now it feels like it's time to make a bit of a shift." And so I was already doing that. So it was pretty cool to see some of that
Good.
sync line up. Yeah, I didn't have a story, but I have a scene. and
Yeah.
I can definitely imagine like thinking through the physicality of the scene and trying to replicate that physicality with the text, right?
Right. Cool. Do you want to share anything about the scene? Or Nina, do you?
Yeah, but first tell us how it
Sure.
went for you, and then we
Um,
can share.
For me,
yeah,
yeah, actually it went better than I normally when I'm like hosting club. I don't know if this is for you, Nina, or not, but I everything I don't write worth I don't write anything worth a shit when I'm hosting because I'm like worrying about time and how am I doing and is this working for I'm like worried about all these other things instead of my writing. But this actually went pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I actually have like a little maybe something to come out of this. It's somebody doing dishes at a cannibal's dinner party, and
Wow.
it's like I'm picturing like like that trope of like the guy at gunpoint digging their own grave,
Hmm.
but this is like a dish like a person just doing dishes and slowly realizing like oh my god there's a tooth in those mashed potatoes and there's some hair here and so yeah.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, do you want to share anything about your scenes, guys, before we sign off?
I'll read a
You don't
couple.
have to.
I'll read a couple sentences. I'm game.
Ooh, yeah, if you want to read, even better.
Okay. Just my first paragraph because I like it. I just totally ripped off Kate Tyndall.
That's what we do here.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah,
point of Flash Club.
exactly. She's your sister. She's your sister. She is your sister. Tana repeated the sentence in her head to drown all the other thoughts in the bathtub of her brain and kept her foot on them, pinning them under the water so there was no chance they'd bubble up. No chance. That's it. It's my first
That's
paragraph.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's fun.
No chance they'll bubble up.
No.
There's more there.
Yeah, shit's about to go down. I use the sitting next to you, the person you don't want to talk to, sitting next to you.
Yeah,
Their sisters
I
come.
love it.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
I
more
was using
there.
that prompt sitting in a room with someone you're avoiding, but it wasn't necessarily the person you're avoiding. It was more a conversation you're avoiding. And so then when we get to the end of what I've been able to write, now we're actually going to get to that conversation. I did like some of the imagery that came out too. Um, I'll read the first two paragraphs. It wasn't like Casey was trying to screw up her life. It just happens sometimes. Once again, she wished her mother could just accept that, could accept her being different from her sister, could see her life being good enough for an acknowledgement once in a while, rather than the emotionless judgment she felt so often. Thanks again for driving me, she said, but even she could hear the strain in her voice, how the sincerity was artificial, plastered on like a cheap stucco from decades ago, now peeling and disintegrating in the weather. Huh, her mother replied. I'm not doing this for you. So there's an immediate tension there.
Yeah.
I like that. Thanks so much for driving me. You got to say it.
Yeah,
That's what you say in those circumstances, even
Right. You have to
right.
even
say,
if.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I was also trying to do the what we had talked about with Tyndall's story, where there's something that's not said. Like we're just not going to come out and say why they're in this place, but because again, that doesn't really matter. Like what's going to be mattering is the tension between the two and the relationships and all those kind of things. But in my mind, they are at that appointment for a very specific reason, and that may come out later. Anyway, I don't know. It was fun.
I know
I
I was
love that.
thinking
I
about
love
it.
that like
How about you,
negative
Billy?
thing. I just want to say off of that.
Yeah,
I just
I
love
think
that
I'll.
like writing from the negative. If Nina can attest to this, like I do a lot of like what's not said, or even like other flashes. The Stalker Flash Club I ran was about like what's not seen in the scene kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
that's really cool. Go ahead, Nita. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
I think that's a thing that I will that's a skill or a technique that I can improve on because I have a tendency to just put everything on the page. Um, I can see that in my writing. And then, oh, I had an idea now it's 3,500 words, and I thought it was going to be just a shorter thing. But I want to say everything. But are there ways that I can not say that and then either leave the exercise to the reader or not say it and therefore it adds tension? So I'll consider that in the future.
Hmm.
What did
Cool.
you have, Nina? You wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, the reason they're there never appears in anything I've written. I mean, in my head it's a funeral, but
Mm.
it's like, but it doesn't matter. The whole point is like there's conflict and it's coming. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so it's 9 o'clock. That went by quick.
Yeah, that was great. It was
Yeah,
nice it's almost like a brain break for me, Flash Club.
yeah.
I get to
See, it was
interrupt.
nice. Stefan, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Bill. I know Nina from another like regular weekly writing group that one of our mutual friends, Chloe, runs, and so I've kind of connected. And I'm trying to be more intentional now about building writing community. So I probably will attend this regularly.
We're
Awesome.
here. We're here every Thursday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and we'd love to have you. Okay, well, it's after 9, so or
Thanks,
eight, is
everybody.
it 8 your time? 7? Where are you? But are you Central
It is
Time?
8, yes. On
Okay,
St. Louis time, Central time.
Central
So,
Time. Okay. All right, friends. Great to see
All
you.
right.
Ciao.
Good
see ya.
night.
Night.